And we're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Nerdrotic recap. This recap is for The Flash tonight. This was a pretty good episode. It's the third episode of the third season. I am your host, John Reed. You can follow me on Twitter at JohnReed16. And joining me as usual from San Diego is Dennis Pathalkis
Hey
at
everyone.
DeForce on Twitter. How's it going, Dennis?
Doing all right. How about you?
Good. Very, very happy with how the DC universe on CW has been going this season.
Oh yeah, like a
I
little
was a little
engine.
worried. Yeah, totally. And like last season, I felt like I liked about half the shows. So like at any given time, I was really into like The Flash and Legends, but I didn't really like Arrow and wasn't really watching Supergirl for the last half of the season. And then Arrow got a little better for a little while, but I fell off on Legends of Tomorrow. But right now, I feel like we have four shows that are at least mostly hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Arrow's still a bit slow, but hopefully that's going to pick up here in a little bit.
So before we get started with tonight's podcast about the Flash, let's talk a little bit about the overall CW slate and how we feel about it this season. So if you were to rank these four shows about which one you're most excited to watch and talk about with me every night of the week, which shows, what would the order be? What would be your 1 through 4?
Right now it is Supergirl.
Whoa, that's a surprise.
And then it's kind of a tie between Legends of Tomorrow right now. I've got to see a second episode of Legends of Tomorrow and Flash, so it's a tie. And Arrow is down in the basement.
That's interesting. Yeah. So for me, it's probably I still look forward to the Flash every week. I think that the Flash is the most consistently well done show, and I like what you're saying about needing another episode of Legends of Tomorrow to break the tie for you. Because I do agree that the first episode, the premiere of Legends of Tomorrow, was the best premiere of
Oh yeah,
all of these shows.
They knocked it out of the park. That's why I'm like, they can't. If they keep it up, perfect. If I'm kind of thinking they're not
Skeptical.
going to, but
It would be tough to hit that bar. I mean, I just don't see I came on that podcast and just ran a list of all the stuff we got in the episode, right? It was like dinosaurs and Salem witch trials, it's everything.
Oh yeah.
So I don't feel like they're going to pack the episodes that full all season long.
No.
And the show definitely works best when they are packed really full. So I see where you're coming from, which is why I think even though that was the best premiere, I still have the Flash at the top just because I can kind of trust the consistency of the Flash.
See, for me, the Flash, there's one thing. I'm not really big on the Iris West stuff. Every time there's an episode that kind of centered, and the last couple episodes have centered around her, unfortunately. She's been a big part of them. And for me, it's kind of like The Simpsons. Whenever there's a Lisa episode, you're like, it's a Lisa episode.
Yeah, but the Iris stuff, I would hesitate to say that they've centered on her. I feel like they've used her to when a character is feeling down and out, they usually send Iris to go bring that person back into the fold. Even the episode where she was the broody one in the premiere, there was a fly, I got it. Even the premiere episode where she was kind of the broody one and she had a falling out with her father in this alternate timeline, she was the one who kind of pulled the team together around Barry, at the end of all that drama.
Yeah,
So
but the thing was, even that, she was only just a small portion of that, which was fine. I mean, just a little bit of her goes a long way.
yeah.
Other than that, her character, I'm just kind of like,
Interesting.
she's there.
I love that actress, though. Like, I really like the actress who's playing Iris.
She's fun. It's just, I mean,
I've
seen her.
The character.
Yeah, the character.
Yeah, I agree.
I've seen her at WonderCon. Gary and I were at WonderCon. We saw the whole Flash panel, and she's very fun. She's very animated. She's got a lot going for her. It's just, I don't know, the character is just kind of
Yeah, they're not writing her particularly. I mean, she's kind of like a boring Lois Lane at this point. Here's one thing I would say about the Iris West character that I was noticing particularly after having Supergirl come into the mix, which would actually still be my lowest. Like, I feel like for me, if I were to rank them, it's Flash, Legends, Arrow, and Supergirl, but not because Supergirl's been particularly disappointing, just it has to dig itself out of the hole a little bit for me. Like, I enjoyed it last season, not as much as you did. I fell off at the tail end of the season, and I need them to prove themselves that they can go for more than a few episodes without me being like, they're going there again, you know? So that's the
Yeah.
only reason it's at the bottom for me, but I can see it rising up the list if they keep up what they've been doing. Arrow is definitely falling quick for me. But that said, I like what they're doing with Iris and the whole journalism her career aspect of the show, because when we have everything going on with Catco and Supergirl, it can be a little over the top with the like Lois Lane, Daily Planet, Catco thing. And I like that we have a character who's in that same field in the Flash, yet
Yeah.
we're not hit over the head with like she's a beat reporter who's following the stories. Like, yeah, she shows up at the bedside of this guy who had been like taken out by his foster daughter in this episode, but they don't hit us over the head with like her deadline and her boss, you know, like we just don't get all that. And I kind of like that aspect. Like we see her chasing down leads, but we don't have the paper as or her
Yeah.
newspaper or whatever as a
I don't know. I always felt that she's kind of a crappy reporter. Everything that
oh
they've
yeah.
shown on the Flash just kind of shows that, she's kind of a reporter. Not, I don't know. She spends more time with Jitters than she actually does at her office. So,
That's true. She's more of a blogger, though, right? Like, isn't she more of a blogger at this point?
see, I don't know. They've changed the timeline now a couple of times, so I don't know if she's blogging or if she's a newspaper or what it is. And yeah, it's just
Yeah.
they haven't, like I said, they haven't fleshed out the character all that well.
So this episode specifically, we get Jesse Quick back with Harry from Earth 2. So we
Yep.
lose we lost a couple characters, right? Oh no, that was a different show.
Nope.
I was thinking about losing Superman and getting Jesse Quick, but we're talking about different shows now. These are all blending together. So yeah, we get Harry and we get Jesse Quick in this episode. And what did you think of the return of each of those characters?
I got really annoyed very quickly with Harry just because not, it was really stupid. I know it was supposed to be endearing, but it got to the point where I was kind of hoping that Cisco was just going to put the gauntlets on and just
blast him out
and blast him just once, just to get him to stop. And then also Harry just kind of wasn't Harry, you know.
I think that they're trying to lighten that character up after the darkness of the last couples. Like when we first met Wells as Wells when he wasn't really Wells at the very, very beginning of this whole series, he was kind of like a positive role model character for Barry, right? And he was fun, he was vibrant. And then when they went into him being a supervillain and then the alternate timeline aspect, he's been very grim and very dark and very broody. And I feel like they're attempting to show that he's coming out of that because he has his daughter back, and that he's
it's swinging too far the other way now is what's going on. And
I agree.
They kind of need to just have a happy medium where he's still a little bit gruff with Cisco, but not, it can still quip a joke every now and then.
Yeah.
Maybe, that's the fine line right there. Not this whole, basically he was a 16-year-old Valley girl.
Yeah. Did you, okay, so Harry's back. I like having Harry back, but you're right. They need to tone it down a little. Just bring it down a couple notches. What about Jesse Quick?
Jesse, we never really got to know her all that well to begin with. She was just kind of like, okay, I've got a daughter. I don't want her to be in danger, so I'm going to put her in this closet over here.
Yeah.
And we're going to put Wally in there with her in the closet. So,
So here's something that was kind of tumbling around the back of my mind while I was watching the episode. Part of what Harry is worried about with Jessie is she's in a world full of danger and she's ill-equipped to protect herself. Now she has powers, and now he's worried about her overextending herself and putting herself in dangerous situations. But wouldn't you think that you would be happy about this? Like now she's equipped to protect herself. She was already in the line of fire because she's associated with Harry and this team and stuff. So him being like concerned just seemed kind of crazy to me, when really you've handed your daughter the weapon she needs to protect herself and to do good in the world, and all your fears should be assuaged at this point.
Yeah, but you got to remember, he's always against the metahumans. In his world, he invented the metahuman tracker, I guess you would say, or whatever. It's a watch that whenever there's a metahuman nearby, it would go off,
Right.
to warn
But the
people.
reason he was against the metahumans was partly because he was like, my family, if one of these metahumans goes crazy, us non-metahumans, i.e. my daughter, are going to get crushed in the, uh, as collateral damage, right, in this
Yeah, but
world.
it's part of that whole mentality. So I mean, it's still kind of hard for him to say, okay, I've been against this for so long, and now, just because my daughter's a metahuman now, I'm for it. It's like,
Right.
okay, and the thing is, they've changed Jesse Quick from the comic version.
So yeah, give us a little bit of background on Jesse Quick. We haven't really done this breakdown yet. What's her
So
story in the comics, and what are the similarities, the differences? How is this adaptation going for you?
so her name in the show is Jesse Chambers Wells, right?
Hmm.
And in the comics, she was Jesse Chambers, and she used the name Jesse Quick or Liberty Bell, Belle. Yeah, Bell.
She's the original Liberty Bell.
No, she's not the original. So
Oh.
her in the comics, Justice Society, Justice Society. Her mom is the original Liberty Bell, and her dad is Johnny Quick.
Oh, okay.
And she has both of their sets of powers. So she has flight, speed, strength in the comics.
Okay.
And basically, her flight and speed are from her dad. And basically, her dad, he knows what the speed force looks like as a mathematical equation. So as long as they visualize that, they get that speed. They
Okay.
tap into the speed force. That's how they explain it.
Weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. So, um,
So
but
what are
yeah,
her like affiliations in the comics? Is there any other background here that it seems like they're ignoring or utilizing in the show?
no, not really. I mean, she was part of, like I said, the Justice Society of America. So, it's Earth 2. So we might actually see some of that crossover between, Legends of Tomorrow, the whole Justice Society. So
Hmm.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen here. They've got to be setting something up for a big crossover between all of the different CW shows and the Earth 2s and all that stuff.
Or a Young Justice.
I know we keep talking about Young Justice. I know.
They bring in Magenta, who is
Teen
Wally
Titan.
West's girlfriend in,
Well,
and then
okay.
villain. Yeah,
Yeah, I
let's
mean,
talk about Magenta now.
hang on a sec. There's a little bit more. I mean, you can also talk
Okay,
about Jesse Quick, who was also a boy at one point.
what?
Yeah,
In what
so
universe was that?
that was Teen Titans Go. They had
Okay,
Robbie Reed, who, when he had the Dial H for Hero watch, would turn into
hmm
Jesse Quick, who was a boy,
that's funny.
and because the Kid Flash would be close by, so you borrow Kid Flash's abilities.
Right, right.
And then you have, an anime-inspired redesign of a teenage version of Jesse Chambers uh, that teams up with Steel and Robin in order to rescue Batgirl. So there is that. Then you also have Injustice Gods Among Us.
Oh, she's an Injustice?
She was in the comics. Number 20, Lex Luthor escaped. He basically told the Justice League he was saved from the Joker's nuclear explosion by an unnamed speedster that he had on the payroll. He
Yes,
died,
and it was
and that was
Jesse
just,
Quick.
yeah.
Interesting. Very
So
cool.
you have all these different versions.
Yeah, it
Pick
seems
one.
like they're just kind of taking the name and the power set of a speedster and kind of going carte blanche on the show with kind of whatever they want. And
Yeah.
because she didn't really have a connection to Wally in any of these, right? Like she never
No,
dated Wally or anything like that.
no. Magenta, on the other hand, her comic book
So Magenta's the bad guy
background.
in this. She's got magnetic powers.
Yeah.
So, and she's
So
also
Frankie
from the
Kane.
comics. Yep.
Yeah. So Frankie Kane was actually in the comics Wally West's childhood friend, and she, at puberty, I guess, develops magnetic powers, and her powers magnify with rage. So her and Wally were actually dating at one point, and I guess Wally
In the
had won
comics.
in the comics. He had won the lottery at one point, and
Nice.
had asked her to move in with him and all that stuff. She didn't want to. It was going too fast, whatever, and so she left. She went to Keystone City. Well, she had a psychotic break or something like that, and then her whole thing was that she thought that Wally, that it was all a bad relationship kind of thing. So she was trying to kill Wally.
Talk
As
about a
Magenta.
crazy ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And she keeps popping back and forth all the time. At one point, she was part of the Teen Titans. She's been all over the place, all over the map on this thing.
You would consider her probably like a B or C level character. Like she's not the lowest of those. We're not scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Magenta's
No. I mean, it depends on which version. Honestly, the DC universe, like DC comic universe, is probably one of the most messed up universes you could ever pull from. So
yeah,
the fact that
because of all these crisis and different
Crisis,
multiverses and things.
Flashpoint, multiverse, blah blah. I'm glad that the show is actually just saying, you know what, we're going to take the name and then we're going to do our own thing.
Mm-hmm. She kind of reminds me a little bit of, from what you just described, of a DC comic version of Polaris, kind of like an unhinged relationship.
She's honestly, she's Magneto. She has purple hair.
Yeah, but Magneto isn't overly emotional, right? Like he's.
He is.
I mean, he is, but he's not like. Her strength of her power is based on rage, right? Like that's not really Magneto's thing. That's more of like a Polaris Scarlet Witch type, like.
No, when Magneto gets really pissed off, his powers do increase.
Yeah,
but I mean,
but like that's different from being angry and increasing your power to do more damage is different from like the angrier you get, the stronger you get, like a Hulk kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, well,
it sounds like
she's a little more psychotic. Yeah, she has a mental illness, definitely. So
yeah. So how did you like her in this? She's a foster kid. She's adopted her family. She's in an abusive family, and Alchemy's tapped into her to give her powers from Flashpoint and tries to use her against the Team Flash, right? How did you like this plot line with Magenta, and do you think the power set was used well and all that stuff?
It was okay, but it was more kind of like I'm going to go back to Supergirl that we were talking about yesterday, with the whole thing of Alex being introduced to Cadmus by the whole plot point of the mole that they have in order to introduce, and it was kind of a sloppy way of just kind of bringing Magenta in. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible either. It just served a purpose. That's all it did.
So this actress was in Fargo, right? And
she's been in other things too.
She's pretty well known. Do you think this is going to be a larger role for her? Do you think she's going to be a returning character?
She's in Keystone City, so it's a different city than Central City.
So what else did you like about this episode? How did you feel about how Team Flash is gelling after the reveals of Flashpoint?
Well, they're kind of gotten the band back together again, if you will. I didn't really see. The one thing I thought was kind of funny was we got introduced to the speed track.
Yes.
And the one thing I did love about Wells was like he goes, "You changed the timeline again, didn't you? I told you to do it." And they're like, well, "How did you know this?" He goes, "We're in an alternate Earth, so we weren't affected by this whole thing," which is really nice. They can actually explain that.
Exactly.
And the other thing I liked was, Iris's tracker panic button went off. Button? What's that? We all have them because we kept getting kidnapped all the time. Hey, something good came out of this. You know?
Yeah, at least there's improvements in this version as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty fun. The little nods to I think they're going to have a lot of fun with nods to whatever changes have been made because of Flashpoint. Like whether it's going to be blaming, you know, for like little things, right? Like blaming Barry for like little stupid things that are different that they don't like, or teasing him over things that is better now, right? Like
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a lot of fun with that.
And the other thing I did, the one thing I really kind of did like, and it's always because the actor. I mean, Joe.
Yes.
When he's talking to Barry, and he's like, "Oh, I gave him Dad Cop." He goes, "What the hell's Dad Cop?" He goes, "Well, there's good cop, there's bad cop, and there's Dad Cop." He goes, I
Yeah.
never got Dad Cop." He goes, "Yeah, I never had to use it on you because you were kind of like the second daughter I never had."
Hmm. Yep.
And that
What do
whole
you?
that was kind of a good little exchange right there.
It was a little dig. What what did you think of? What do you think of Wally pining over the powers he feels he should have in this episode, and
Well,
jumping in front of a truck to try to ignite the powers because that's supposedly how Jesse got hers.
we know where this is all going towards. We know that he's having dreams because of the way he was acting. So when Magenta or Frankie was talking about that, that's how it all started with her. She was having dreams and she was having pain, associated with the dreams and everything. And then she started hearing the names. Obviously, Wally's having the same thing,
Yep.
and that's how they're going to use to draw out Dr. Alchemy. So he's
They're
bait.
going to use Wally to draw him out, or Wally's going to get turned by alchemy and become a little psychotic.
I think they're going to use him as bait. To tell you the truth.
What's the over under on how many episodes it'll be until Wally is Kid Flash in this universe?
We won't have that until sweeps.
So you're looking at another 4 or 5 episodes there as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, sweeps are going to be fun. Every time I ask you that question, it's going to be sweeps.
yeah. So usually they do all the big reveals or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
And I actually have a prediction as to who Dr. Alchemy is.
Oh, what's your prediction?
It's the dick that's working with Barry in the lab.
You think You think Draco Malfoy is also Doctor Alchemy?
Well, the reason why he goes, remember when he was talking about
The
ghosts?
ghost.
Do you believe
Yeah.
in ghosts, Barry? The way he said it? That's a
It was a little
direct.
creepy.
Yeah, well, not only that, it's a also play on Flashpoint because everyone has their little
Oh,
ghost of their former selves.
interesting. So Julian could be the reason. So is there a theory that his name's Julian, right?
Yeah,
Julian,
uh,
that
yeah,
Julian is actually from Flashpoint, and he's also put himself here, and it wasn't a natural evolution that he became there. Like he's also out of place as well, or is that he's from that universe and he just knows about Flashpoint?
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't know how they're going to play it.
Yeah, look, that actor is amazing. You're right. It would seem weird for them to add him as a series regular and not have him be something special.
Yeah. So once he said that line, I was like, "Oh, you're Doctor Alchemy. How's it going?"
So he's assembling the team against Barry, and he knows what Barry's working on because they work so closely together. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's perfect.
And that's the reason why he's keeping him away from the metahuman stuff. He's because he's building his team. Yeah.
Yep. So we also got between the little teaser at the end of this episode and the preview for next episode, we know that one of the rogues that's being assembled is going to be Mirror Master.
Yes,
So
that's next episode.
yeah, so what's Mirror Master's deal? He's a big deal, right, in the DC universe.
He's one of Flash's oldest enemies, and basically he uses mirrors. He's able to jump in and out of mirrors.
Yeah, so it says he can produce, sorry, I'm reading this straight from
Yeah.
Wikipedia. He can produce fantastic effects such as hypnotism, invisibility, holograms, physical transformations, communications, and travel into other dimensions, either parallel universes or planes of existence, using mirrors.
Yep.
And Evan McCulloch, who's if Mirror Master is a mantle, is the second Mirror Master created by Grant Morrison. He uses a laser gun. I think he's the current version of Mirror Master. Which one do you think they're going to be using? The Grant Morrison or the older Sam Scooter created by John Broom?
Well, the older one had the ability to do it by himself, right? He was able to just
Right.
Yeah, and so he's a metahuman, obviously, Mirror Master.
Right.
In this universe, so they're going to use the old version, which I'm fine with. I mean,
yeah, me too. It's going to be the Sam Scooter version. You're right, of Mirror Master. He's going to be played by Gray Damon, who was from Friday Night Lights and co-stars with David Duchovny on the Aquarius show. Looks like he's been kind of a bit actor in a lot of things. So that's interesting. He looks younger than I expected. I thought they would go with maybe an older guy to play Mirror Master, but this guy looks like he's in his mid-20s or so.
Yeah, they're skewing everyone young.
It is the CW after all. So Tell me what you know. I'm just kind of going based on research, but because I'm more of a Marvel guy. So what have you experienced as far as Mirror Master is concerned? Any stories that stick out to you from the comics that they might be pulling from?
Well, usually, when you pair them with like Dr. Light or something like that, it screws the Flash up quite a bit. It's usually you get Mirror Master, Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang, a lot of captains, and Dr. Light.
It seems like they have a hierarchical problem there, like too many captains, not enough sergeants and privates, and
yeah,
they've got a doctor on the side just in case, but all captains, no soldiers.
And usually when you have a lot of these things that deal with light and stuff like that, stuff that's fast, it screws with Flash's abilities.
Right.
And not only that, I mean, if you can shunt him into another dimension or trap him in a mirror where he can't do anything,
So what do you think? How do you think they're going to be using Mirror Master? I mean, in Flashpoint, he was part of a side arc with Citizen Cold. It was Captain Cold was a good guy in Flashpoint called Citizen Cold.
Honestly, I wouldn't even bother for that. I wouldn't even bother dealing with Flashpoint. Flashpoint's over with as far as the series is concerned. It was a means to an end. So
right.
And so I don't think they're going to do any more stuff from Flashpoint.
I do feel though they're going to pull like some of the characters that we saw in Flashpoint in the comics to reference them in the show. Like I really do think that it seems like so far they're picking within the pool of characters that were at least tertiarily part of Flashpoint, the crossover series, right? So
they might pick the characters, but they're not going to use them anywhere near what they were used in. Right. Honestly, Flashpoint was pretty boring. And the comic, I should the comic, even DC got tired of it, and that's why they rebooted it pretty fast into the New 52 because it was going nowhere fast.
Yeah.
And you got to remember when they were doing Flashpoint, they had the whole Atlantis was attacking the Europe and
the Wonder Woman and stuff.
Yeah, the Mascara had taken over London, and it was all kinds of weird stuff that was going on.
It was very global the way that they dealt with, and this show is very contained within Central City. So
and not only that, it was so far removed. I mean, just everything was going haywire, and I mean they had buttons that they were giving out with the comics and all that kind of stuff. So you had different, new logos and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they made it seem like you were actually going to travel along with Flashpoint for a while. And then it was abrupt. I mean, it was in a really abrupt stop. And then New 52 started. Yep. And everyone was kind of like, okay, so you just created this universe just for nothing? Great. Okay.
They have revisited it now that they're kind of undoing the New 52 with what Heroes Reborn. They're using Flashpoint. Wally West got lost in Flashpoint, and he's coming back to resurrect kind of the heroes,
Yeah,
whatever they're calling this.
they're realizing what a big mistake it was, because here New 52 is just so boring. It was even worse than Flashpoint. That they didn't know where to go with Flashpoint is what was going on. So that's why they rebooted the New 52, which was kind of like the old DC universe anyway, only snazzier suits.
Right, and younger. They were all younger. Yeah.
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 And
so I mean,
just so you know, according to Jeff Johns, according to DC, they have never ever rebooted a universe.
That's bullshit. That's so bullshit.
I know. He says all the continuities are still existing out there.
Okay, sure. So you can just pull on anything you want at any time.
Yeah,
okay, we get
exactly. That's why I always call bullshit whenever Jeff Johns is involved with anything.
Talking, yeah, right.
No, I asked my own personal story. What is it? The Black Lantern series. You know that one. When number 1 came out, he was signing at a store that was right down the street from me when I lived in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Went and got it signed, and I asked the guy point blank to his face. I said, "This isn't going to be like the Power Rangers where all the powers combine and we get the White Lantern or the White Ranger or something like that."
Mm-hmm.
And he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Nope, that's not going to happen."
And then you get White Lanterns a month later.
Exactly. So.
I don't know. You gotta take these things. Any other news out of the CW universe, or at least let's stick to the Flash right now. Any news out of the Flash universe right now before we sign off tonight?
Nothing that I know of. I haven't seen anything recently, but I haven't really been looking, to tell you the truth.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, aside from that tag at the end where we saw Weather Wizard, no, it was a Rival completely bite it. So it looks like that family line is dead, at least now. Nothing huge happening yet, just a lot of setup, it seems, although it's good setup.
Okay,
I
just want King Shark to come back, or Gorilla Grodd, or somebody fun to come back.
I think we'll get there. Again, I think we have got to get past sweeps to the beginning of the second part of the season, when they go into the post like Christmas break or holiday break area, winter break. When they come back in the spring, I think we'll see some of the older stuff start returning and some of those fan favorite things.
We are supposed to see Gorilla City on Earth too.
How soon?
This season.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have a feeling they're going to be dealing a lot with Flashpoint for the first half of the season. So we're going to get a lot of Rogues Gallery, darker stuff, and then I think it'll lighten up in the second half.
They really just need to do 3-episode story arcs. That's what they start. They need to just be doing that. Honestly,
I like having Alchemy as a big bad floating around out there, but I agree. I think that other than that, they should be keeping it to smaller story arcs. So coming up this week, we're going to be taking tomorrow off for the debate, and then I will be up in Tahoe, but we will be bringing both Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow to you 9:30 on Thursday. And then we've got a couple little things that we're supposed to be recording this weekend. We've got the beginning of or the premiere of Walking Dead. We'll see if Gary's feeling a little bit better. Otherwise, Dennis and I will be covering it Sunday evening after the show late. We're still working on getting you the Ash vs. Evil Dead content, and we'll be back early next week for Supergirl. Anything else you want to highlight before we sign off, Dennis?
No, I think that pretty much covers a lot of the things that we're or there's other stuff that I'm watching, but we're covering that in the roundtable at some point when we get to the roundtable.
Yeah, we're going to try to make those monthly. We just got to nail down this, or at least maybe twice a month, but we've got to nail down this first one that we're going to work on it. And I did leave off the schedule Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which airs tonight. We'll get it, the podcast about tonight's episode will get to you next Monday before you see the latest episode because of all the crazy scheduling we have. So stay tuned for all those. You can always check our Facebook page at Facebook/Nerdrotic Podcast. All of the upcoming live events will be up there, and you'll get links to all the videos on YouTube through the Facebook page. You can also go to nerdrotic.com. There you'll have everything. You'll get links to all the stories and coverage that we have going over at Nerdrotic. You can follow me on Twitter at JohnReed16. You can follow Dennis at DeForce. You can also
Down there.
follow Nerdrotic, our official Nerdrotic feed at Nerdrotics on Twitter. Yeah, I think that's everything. Is there anything else you want to throw in there before we sign off?
I also put the new trailer up for Assassin's Creed on our Facebook page.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're not loving it as much as I'm. I'm still optimistic that this will be one of the video game movies that breaks through this year, but we'll see.
yeah, I'm not really buying it, to tell you the truth. I mean, even though it has Michael Fassbender in it, who's a really good actor, I like him a lot. I just kind of think they went the wrong direction with it and don't understand the game. So
Yeah. Well, we shall see. It seems like all these other gaming movies have failed, particularly Warcraft, which was also supposed to be one that might reinvigorate the video game to movie trek that all these studios are trying to do. But who knows? Maybe Assassin's Creed will be it. Maybe there's still one down the pike that we're missing that will make that jump successfully. Yeah, and you also posted the Rogue One trailer, correct? Or the new Rogue One
I
trailer?
did. I did post the new Rogue One trailer. Like I said, when I posted on Facebook, it had been up for a couple of days before I posted it because I'm starting to get blind now to Star Wars news.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere. So,
And yeah, look, we've got a couple movies coming up that we're going to try to cover. We've got
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange coming up very, very shortly. And there's a couple other little ones in there that we might be able to catch and cover for you in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for all of this coverage. We're trying to get you at least a podcast a day. We're a little behind on the iTunes podcast feed. We need to start... we just need to coordinate with Gary on getting those posted. So stay tuned for all of that. And
I'll also have an unboxing video too, because I just saw that a box got shipped out fairly recently. So that should be my Doctor Strange box, if I'm not mistaken.
awesome.
Yes.
So I think that's everything. Dennis, you want to sign us off tonight?
Yeah. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.